Hey everyone, and welcome back to Brian's Horror Movies for Life, and welcome to this 1983 horror movie review video. As part of my current series where I'm taking a look at horror movies from 1983. Um, so the movie we're going to take a look at today is one that I actually did pick up on physical media over the last few weeks here. I wasn't able to find it through streaming, so I took a chance and picked up the DVD, and that movie is American Nightmare, which you can see I have Scorpion releasing DVD here. There's the front, there's the back, got some special features. Katarina's Nightmare Theater. I didn't watch that version with her. I just watched the regular movie. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about American Nightmare from 1983 here. So, American Nightmare is a 1983 Canadian slasher film directed by Don McBroody and starring Lawrence Day, Laura Staley, Lenore Zahn, and Michael Ironside, and Alexandria Paul in her feature film debut. It tells the story of a successful pianist investigating the disappearance of his sister in an urban decadence as a serial killer targets prostitutes and sex workers. The screenplay by John Shepard, based on a story by John Galt and Stephen Blake, was influenced by the rising crime rates in American cities throughout the 1970s and early 1980s. So, in the dead of winter, in a large unnamed American city, which is, I mean, let's face it, it's New York. Isabel smokes a joint on a cheap hotel bed while one of her Johns finishes showering in the bathroom. At the sink, the unseen man puts on latex gloves. Isabel makes an oblique reference to the man about a sex tape that was used as blackmail. The man exits the bathroom wearing only a towel and the gloves and violently kills her, slashing her throat multiple times with a straight razor. Isabel's brother, Eric, a successful concert pianist, arrives at her apartment, prompted by an incoherent letter she sent him. Isabel's transsexual neighbor, Dolly, informs him that Isabel is a stripper and prostitute, using the synonym Tanya. Dolly tells Eric that Isabel has been missing for several days. Eric visits Blake Industries, where his estranged father, Hamilton Blake, is CEO and overseer of UNICEF, a nonprofit outreach for abused and endangered children. Eric asks for his father's help in finding Isabel, but Hamilton refuses, dismissing Isabel for her degenerate lifestyle. Once Eric leaves, Hamilton pulls a photo of his daughter out of his desk to fondle. Hmm. So that's the setup, the premise, the beginning of American Nightmare from 1983. As far as the cast goes, you have Lawrence S. Day as Eric Blake, Laura Staley as Louise, Neil Daynard as Tony Shaw, Lenore Zan as Tina, Claudia Udi as Andrea, and Michael Ironside as Sergeant Schuyler. So yeah, that's the setup, the premise, and the cast for the 1983 Canadian slasher film American Nightmare. Um, this is definitely a Canadian. It's a Canadian-made film that's much more like a giallo than it is an American slasher movie. Um, it's got that mystery aspect to it, not so much horror, but more giallo mystery, I would say. So, yeah, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I would say this movie's okay. It's kind of middle of the road for me. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. There's good things about it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. Starting with the things that I liked about it. I think it's a pretty well written, effective giallo movie with a pretty good mystery going on, with some twists and and ending reveals that work for me for the most part. You know, as I said, it's very much a giallo kind of feel, where you see a lot of hands and things like that, and you got the straight edge razor, which is very giallo. Just the way it's shot, you know, in the shadows and stuff, and the stalking and things like that. So yeah, less of a slasher, although there's definitely slasher elements in it, as there are in most giallo films, but definitely leans heavier into giallo. It's just done as a Canadian slasher film. There's a ton of nudity in this movie. Strippers dancing topless, walking around nude, etc. So if that's your thing, if you're looking for a giallo movie or a movie period, it's got a lot of female nudity in it, then uh, you could do a lot worse than this movie. Yeah, it's definitely here. There's a lot of topless nudity and even like full body nudity, a lot of rear ends here, a lot of TNA in this movie. So just throwing that out there. I thought the twist reveal was interesting and fairly effective in its setup. There's some characters that you kind of meet earlier on in the movie, but they don't have a big role in the movie that kind of come back into play, and I mean, that's how you do it. When you have a reveal or a twist like that. Um, we have to have had been introduced to them so that they at least it was not like a Friday the 13th situation. So characters that we have seen before and then come back into play at the end. And this movie does a good job with that. It really does. I kind of figured that one character was involved, but I didn't know exactly how or how it all fit together. And I thought it was pretty effectively done there, to be honest with you. The movie has that very late 70s, early 80s New York City sleazy underbelly feel and setting of prostitution and corruption that felt very authentic and grainy. It just, a lot of movies like Maniac and what's the other one I'm thinking of from 1982 with uh, Basket Case, a lot of those kind of movies. And even though it doesn't actually mention it as New York City, that's the feel that you get. This is New York City here. Even though it was actually shot in Toronto, as others have said, you could tell with the skyline that they shoot because it is a Canadian film, so they didn't spend the money to actually go to New York. But that's where it's supposed to take place, and I thought they did a good job with the setting, even though it's not actually New York City, just with the graininess and the sleaziness of it and the underbelly of what that whole part of New York was like in the 70s and early 80s. This is one of those movies you kind of need to take a shower after you watch it because it just feels so dirty and grimy. And that definitely comes out here in the setting and the atmosphere. So it felt very authentic in that regard. And then I would also say this movie definitely has some themes that are ahead of its time. Like you've got a transsexual here, which is obviously very relevant during our time now. But this was 1981 when the movie was actually shot. So, and then there's also some incestual things going on. Not that that's a theme that anybody really wants to touch on, but those are just some themes in the movie that kind of set it apart and make it a little bit more different than other giallos or slasher movies. Um, but yeah, very seedy, very sleazy with sketchy characters in this neck of the woods in New York, and this whole underbelly of prostitution that the killer is targeting. So yeah, so those are the things that I liked about the movie. As far as cons go, like I said, it is much less of a horror movie and more of a crime thriller giallo mystery movie. So just kind of know that going in. It doesn't make it bad. I'm just pointing that out in case, because of the way it's offered as a Canadian slasher film. Don't think that this is um, My Bloody Valentine or anything. It isn't that kind of a slasher. It's not heavy on blood or gore, really. There's on-screen violence and there's a lot of nudity and sex in the movie. That's kind of the graphic part of the movie. But they didn't invest in the gore and blood effects, I would say. There is blood in the movie, but it's not like an overabundant amount. Michael Ironside's character kind of felt underutilized and unimportant to the story overall to me, which was kind of disappointing because seeing Michael Ironside in this movie, I was kind of excited to see, but he's kind of a down on his luck cop and just kind of burnt out on the whole of New York City at this point, just kind of collecting a paycheck, it seemed like. And I don't know, he just really didn't have much to do with what happened at the end or anything. Those scenes just kind of felt like filler to me, really, with him and the other cop that he was with. Some of the acting at times was pretty bad in the movie. Even the main cast character, Lawrence S. Day, who played Eric Blake, he had some lines that were pretty rough to stomach, frankly. Um, but overall, yeah, the acting wasn't great. There were some scenes that went on a bit too long, and I was checking my phone during them. Just not a lot of action going on overall in this movie. You've got about 4 or 5 scenes of kills or stalking or chasing, things like that. But for the most part, it's a lot of dialogue and mystery and things like that. The ending of the movie, too, after the reveal is made, was pretty underwhelming with the resolution. to the movie. You basically have a quick suicide and a quick death with somebody falling off the top of a building. It just doesn't pay off quite as much as I wanted. There's just not a whole lot there. So I don't know, guys. Like I said, this is kind of a middle of the road movie for me. American Nightmare. I don't mind having. I'm glad I have it in my collection. I would say, pray you never have one. That's the tagline for American Nightmare. But I'm glad I have it in my collection. I'm glad I didn't spend a whole lot of money on it. I will rewatch it again, of course. I think it kind of fits more in my Giallo collection, I would say, as I said before. But I'm going to give American Nightmare from 1983 a 6 out of 10. I think it's a decent watch. It's worth checking out if you can find it on YouTube or one of the other streaming services. I couldn't, but that doesn't mean it's not out there somewhere. Whether it's for free or not, I'm not sure. But anyway, 6 out of 10 for American Nightmare from 1983. Go ahead and comment down below if you guys have seen this movie, your thoughts on it. Do you like it? Do you not? Comment down below. Please like this video, hit the whole notification bell, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not already a subscriber, it would really help me out for the future content and my channel going forward. But with all that being said, thank you for watching. Hope everybody's doing well. And as always, stay scared. Bye.